would you be? What limits would you absolutely blow past? What life purpose and impact would you be able to live out if you were no longer hindered by the battle scars of self-doubt and insecurities? This is serious. Negative internal self-talk amounts to mental and psychological warfare against your destiny. But I have good news for you. Victory and relief is not only available, but it is yours for the taking. It is just for you to reach out and grab a hold of it. So join me in today's video, my friends, for 3 additional tips in how to believe that you are good enough so that you can move beyond mere survival mode into thriving in what you know that you have been called to do. This is Keisha, your career and business confidence coach, equipping you to win by owning your inherent brilliance and eliminating your shrinking tendencies so that you will dominate in your field or industry. Click on the subscribe button below as well as the bell so that you'll be notified of when I upload my weekly Wednesday videos. And check out the links in the description below so that you can download a free copy of my ebook, 10 confidence building strategies that you can implement now, because without confidence, you will not win in this game. Tip number 4 in believing that you are good enough is to be your own guru. That means be your own expert. Have you ever overvalued someone else's opinion over your own because you trusted what they said just a little bit more than you trusted your own life experience and trusted your own instinct? I know I certainly have. And I recognize that every single time I take somebody else's opinion over what my internal wisdom tells me, I begin to devalue myself just a little bit more. My perfect example of when I didn't trust my own internal wisdom and trusted the direction of someone else was when I was experiencing a health issue. It was a health scare. So I went to the doctor and I explained exactly what my symptoms were and what I was dealing with. After a 10-minute discussion, she said to me, "I'm sorry, but you have a serious digestive issue and you will need to take this medication twice a day for the rest of your life." And I said to her, I read about all the negative side effects that come from this medication, and I'm absolutely willing to make the lifestyle and dietary changes that I need to make in order to avoid this trauma. And she said, "No, it's going to be too hard for you." I'm not quite sure why I listened when someone told me that something was going to be hard for me, because I knew I was determined. But I went ahead and I was obedient and like a good patient was supposed to be, and I listened to the direction of this medical expert and didn't listen to my own internal wisdom. Well, lo and behold, after a few months of taking this medication, I began to have some very negative symptoms. I ended up in the ER and I had all this drama around my health. Well, lo and behold, I remembered exactly what my internal wisdom told me that I needed to do in terms of dietary and lifestyle modifications. And I went ahead and I spoke to another doctor who was able to listen to me and was willing to partner with me. And I weaned myself within a year off the medication, and eventually my digestive system began to experience miraculous healing. Well, not miraculous healing, but true healing, because I knew what was good for my body. Now, this is not an indictment against doctors, nor am I discouraging you to have conversations with them, because as I said, when I decided to wean off the medication, I was under the care of another doctor. However, what that experience taught me was that I needed to learn how to trust my own internal instinct. I needed to trust my own internal wisdom and be able to collaborate and partner with someone else who was able to honor that internal expertise that I had. And maybe your situation doesn't have to do with a medical trauma. Maybe it has to do with your career. Maybe you listened to a mentor or a naysayer or someone who was, in all good intents and purposes, gave you advice. But if only you took a step back and listened to your own internal wisdom, you would have been able to avoid a lot of trauma or a lot of obstacles. So I want to encourage you, my friends, to learn to trust your life experience, trust your expertise, trust your training just as much as you trust everyone else's. Everyone else isn't the expert on your life and your destiny. You are the one. Yes, get mentors and advisors and teachers and coaches. All of that is important, but at the end of the day, you have to learn to collaborate from a place of equality and not always looking to others and expecting them to know more than you do. Tip number 5 is to identify and process your shame triggers. So, what is shame? Author Brené Brown describes shame as this deeply intense, painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of acceptance and belonging. We all have areas in our life, right, that we want to work on and improve in. And many of these areas are actually quite essential to our growth, to our health, and to our success. But just because we don't have our life all figured out and we haven't perfectly identified the next step to take, does that mean that we are not worthy of love, of acceptance, of belonging, of success, or of even manifesting our destiny? Absolutely not. But when we are attacked by shame, triggered by our inadequacies, it is really hard sometimes to remember that we are worthy, that our worthiness is not based on our performance or lack thereof, that we were born worthy, that we woke up worthy, that regardless of what we accomplished in a specific day or didn't accomplish, that we are good enough just because. And when shame arises, the typical reaction to shame is to ignore it or suppress it. But unfortunately, whatever we suppress only gets stronger. The best way to deal with feelings of shame is to identify what triggers our shame response and to process it so that it will move through us rather than hold us back and hinder us. So what are some of the things that trigger your shame response? For many women, it has to deal with beauty, weight, the way in which we work, organization, motherhood, even how we show up in our everyday lives. I want to encourage you to identify what your unique shame triggers are so that you can progress through them rather than be stumped by them. Because as Brené says, only when we are brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover the power of our infinite light. Tip number 6 is to select your own good enough role models. Most people have a limited vision of how far they can go in life because of a story that they've told themselves on who they can be and what they can achieve because of their background. And to be fair, most of these stories wasn't created out of thin air. They likely got these stories from messages in society or even from their intimate family environment. So in order to counteract this limited belief, I want you to look for a representation of successful people out there that have a similar background as you do. People who have gone on to accomplish great things that you respect and admire. One of the people that really inspires me the most because of her humble beginnings and what she's able or has been able to accomplish throughout her career and her life is the one and only Oprah Winfrey. She wasn't viewed as someone as the right size, the right color, maybe not even the right gender, but she went on to attain a level of success that very few people have attained. Other people that inspire me are like Gabrielle Union, or as you could see the book back here, Michelle Obama, Usain Bolt, Harry Belafonte. Those are some of the many people that inspire me and are some of my role models or success role models. Who are some of your success role models? It could be people that you see in the media or celebrities, or it could be in your neighborhood, people that you grew up with, teachers you've had. As long as it's someone that's out there playing big in a way that you respect, they qualify. The idea here is not to copy their lifestyle or to try to be who they are, but it is a source of inspiration to break that limiting belief that you may have that you can accomplish a certain level of success because of your background, your history, or your story. I hope you enjoyed this two-part video series where we went through some very unconventional ways to believe that you are enough. And we just barely scratched the surface. I want to encourage you, if you want to go deeper, to get a free copy of my ebook, 10 Confidence Building Strategies that you can implement now, by clicking on the link in the description below. But before you go, I want you to share with me which one of these tips resonated the most with you. Which one of them did you find the most helpful? If you enjoyed this video, I want you to like, comment, share, and subscribe below. You can also follow me on Instagram at Keisha Winter. Remember, you were built not to shrink down to less, but to expand to more. And I am rooting for your more. Have a great week.